AAC? Great. So I am also an AAC specialist. And you can call me Jen or Ms. Jen. My favorite is Tech Jen. And I am a proud employee at the Center for Accessible Technology. Let me tell you a bit about C4AT. Let me get rid of that. C4AT is the Center for Accessible Technology. We work to increase access to technology, to digital spaces, to digital services, helping people to access the digital world and helping people access the world through digital tools. We've been around since 1983. We've been around a good long time. I have been here since 2000, so I've been here a good long time too. You can learn about us at C4, numeral 4, at.org. It's also at the bottom of every slide. I want to know a bit about you, but we are being recorded. And so think about things you may or may not want to share, like maybe what languages you speak at home or how old your child is. Maybe they have an AAC system. If so, what do they have? And if there's something in particular you want to get out of this meeting, please share. Regardless, I am so happy that you are here. So thank you for being here. Also, I cannot see you. I cannot see me. So if you have a question, please interrupt me, or please write it in the chat and one of the hosts will interrupt me. It will not break my chain of thought, my train of thought. So please, this is a conversation for all of us. So that's a great question, Jesus. We will get to that. That's this whole class. What is AAC? What in the heck is AAC? That's what we will answer tonight. So what I want you, I want you to get out of these classes. I want you to know how to model AAC, to show your student, your child who is an AAC learner, how to talk, right? So how can they talk? I want you to motivate your child so that you can help them to want to talk, right? To want to do AAC. And I can move out of the way so that my child can talk with AAC. I can help them by not helping them. So those are what I want you to get out of these classes. Today's lesson, what you will get tonight is exactly what Jesus asked. What is AAC? What is it? All right, let's go. So first, let's think about what you need to communicate. This child needs to communicate something. Her balloon is flying away. So she needs why, right? She needs a reason to communicate. She has a reason. Her balloon is flying away. She needs what? A message to communicate. Get it. Help, right? Maybe get it or help me. Or, oh no, not that. She also needs how, a way to communicate that. And finally, she needs a who, someone to communicate to, otherwise it's not communication. We are going to focus on the how. And that's what AAC is, the how. So let's think about How do your students or your children communicate with you? Maybe they use spoken words. Maybe they use gestures or signs. Maybe they use facial expressions, happy, sad, right? Maybe they use body movements, body position. Maybe they use eye movements or eye gaze. Look at the thing, look at you, look at the thing, look back at you. Maybe they use sounds, right? Ah, brr, sounds. Maybe they use pictures or icons. What's important to know is that all of these, any communication that is not spoken words, is considered AAC. And in fact, all of these around the outside are ones that you can do just with your body. Those are called unaided AAC. You do not need an aid or a tool. If you use pictures or icons or texts or email or emojis, those are all aided communication, right? Catherine, Kritika, let me read what you said. Oh, great. Okay, wonderful, fantastic. All right, so unaided AAC that I can do just with my body, aided AAC, speech. So now we get to that question, right? What is it? What is AAC? So AAC stands for augmentative and alternative communication. Whew, big words. Augment means it adds to, it's more, right? So that's when speech is not enough. When I need more than just speech, what I can say with my mouth words are not enough. Alternate means instead of, right? That's when speech is not an option. It is not no can do, right? So augmentative when it's not enough, alternative when speech isn't an option. So in general, there are two broad categories of communication. There is robust communication, that is saying all the things, right? And so robust communication is often high-tech, like this tablet or even this keyboard device, but it can be mid-tech or even light-tech, like this board, like the guy on Speechless uses, or this pod book. That lets you say all the things. But saying all the things often takes time, right? It takes some time. So there's also quick and easy communication. Hi, how are you? I need the bathroom. I'm hungry. That fast communication, that is often light tech because you can say it very quickly. What's important to understand, this is not an either or situation. A powerful AAC system can have both, where you use your robust tool for your robust communication, and we have fast communication for both. Great. Marilyn, thank you. I'm excited to talk with you and have you here. All right. I want to talk about some AAC fundamentals because there are myths around AAC, and I want to make sure that you know the truth about AAC, not the myths. So, one of the questions people often ask is, what skills do you need before you can communicate, before you can communicate with AAC? Well, I have to say, so ASHA stands for the American Speech Language Hearing Association. If you have a speech language pathologist, this is who gives them their license. So ASHA says that currently there are no specific skills that are prerequisite. So remember, we talked about aided and unaided AAC. You are going to see some examples of unaided AAC. Let's look at this one.
She put a camera down so she can record how her baby boy reacts every time his dad comes home from work, and it's amazing. You can even see him stop and listen when he hears him enter the house.
What is that baby communicating? What? Like, oh my gosh, he's communicating, I'm happy, right? I like you. I like you. It is good to see you, right? That baby is clearly communicating. What about this one?
After this dad got a new haircut and cut off all of his dreads, he went to go show his little son, and his reaction is hilarious.
You making daddy feel bad. You crying.
He immediately got upset about it and even had to take a second look at it. He still wasn't a fan of his dad's new haircut.
All right, what is that baby saying? What is he saying? Oh, he is saying, I do not like it. Not like it. Very clearly communicating. So the takeaway is that anyone can communicate with AAC. The next AAC fundamental, I get asked, are these symbols too abstract? So I have a question for you. So do you know any of these symbols? Do you know that symbol? Yes, it's YouTube. Do you know that symbol? Yes, it's McDonald's. Do you know that symbol? Yes, it's Target. Do you know that symbol? Yes, it's Mickey Mouse. Now, my question to you, do you know young children, very young children, who know these symbols? Yes, you do. Do you know people with intellectual disabilities who know these symbols? Yes, you do. And if you don't, I do. So the takeaway that I want you to take, let me take an easier one. Do you know babies who know this symbol? Yes, you do. So this is an abstract symbol for sure. We'll get to that. So takeaway, AAC symbols are not, they are not too abstract. All right. The next one, I often get a question, does AAC inhibit, does it block, does it impede verbal speech and speech development? No, 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 no. So research has repeatedly shown the opposite, that AAC has shown something very different. It has shown that AAC increases verbal speech. And there are a few different theories. It provides a very consistent model of verbal speech. So I have seen students who use their talker, hear their talker, speak what their talker just said. It is a great alternate communication when verbal speech is not accessible. And that could be that verbal speech is not accessible because I am angry or upset, and I can't make my mouth form the words, and I can't make my brain pull the words. So I can use my talker because I know the words are there. It can also reduce communication frustration. If I am saying a word and you keep not understanding what I am trying to say, I'm going to get frustrated. But if I can turn to my device and use my talker to say what I am trying to say, and you understand what I am saying, oh my goodness, that reduces my frustration. So all of this means that AAC can actually increase communicative success. I successfully communicate. I grow more confident as a communicator. So the takeaway is that AAC supports verbal speech. Okay, now I can see me, so I can be in the camera. All right. The communication endgame is an acronym in the AAC world that we call SNUG. And I will get to SNUG in a minute. But for now, really what it means is that I can say what I want, when I want, right? How I want, and to whom I want. And so let's watch this child communicate how, what, when, how, and to whom she wants.
Well, I think that right now we're gonna do eat waffle. Waffle. What do you think? Milk. You want milk?
Right. No, I do not. I do not want that. I want something different. Milk. Right? So now let's talk about SNUG. Any guesses what that S might mean? It's an odd one. Spontaneous. That means I was not prompted. Now, when the mom asked a question, she asked a question, but she said, "What do you think?" She did not prompt her daughter to say any specific message. So, S is for spontaneous. N is for novel. That means not scripted. If I say, "Hi, how are you?" "I'm fine. Bye." Those are scripts. Novel is when my son, when I asked, "What is that?" he said, "It's a tooth gun." I don't know what a tooth gun is. I've never put tooth and gun together in a sentence. So, novel, not scripted. You just means that it was uttered. It was effective communication. And in speech language circles, when you are putting two words together, now you have gone from communication to language. And language is what we are wanting. So we want them to start by putting two words together, and then we want them to put more and more and more words together, and we want them to put, I know put is on here, put them together in different ways, right? Grow in complexity. So finally, we've got G. G just means generation. It means I did it. You didn't do it. I did it. I spontaneously generated a novel utterance. Now, I can maybe have support, maybe somebody needs to help my arm because I can't reach it all the way. Or maybe somebody helps me by like blocking off part of it so I'm not so visually overwhelmed. So support, good, good. Guidance, where I am guiding you to what to hit, that's not good. So remember, so saying what I want, when I want, how I want, to whom I want, that's snug. All right. I want to talk quickly about the power of belief. This is also called the presumption of competence, but that's a big word again. I like to call it belief. If you believe that your child can do it, can communicate, if you believe they can communicate, and you believe that you can help them to communicate, to do it more, right? And you believe that you can help them do it better, that they can learn, your belief will help them believe in themselves, will help them. If you know that they can do it, then they will think, I can do it. So now that we have those foundations out of the way, let's talk about AAC. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat or raise your hand or just unmute and ask. Okay, so let's talk about the words. What words do we want in our AAC? Do we want in our AAC? So this is a quote from the Mayo Clinic. Between the ages of 2 and 3, most children use at least 200 words, maybe up to 1,000 words. That's a lot of words. Yeah. But these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pronouns, and these 1, 2, 3, 4 verbs, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 descriptors or locators. And these, if we say all done or finished is one word, then those 3 social words, that altogether is 21 words. Those are core words. And those core words make up 85% of a 2 to 3-year-old's language. So they may have 1,000 words, but 85% of what they say is these 21 words. So let's talk about core words because they are powerful. Fringe vocabulary is important. Fringe vocabulary, they're all the little things. My gum, my tea, my handkerchief. These are all important fringe words for me. Core words are not important. These words here, they are not important words, but boy, are they powerful words. And that's why we want them in our talkers. So let's compare these two. So fringe vocabulary is a lot of words, right? All the words, the dictionary, all the words. Core vocabulary is always very small. It's a very small sum of the words, very small.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
Please.
Is it okay if you could go back to the previous slide? I would like to screenshot it.
That one? Go
Yes.
for it.
Thank you.
Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, done. Thank you.
Sure. All right. So we are at core words, all the words, right? Sorry, fringe words, all the words. Core words, very small. In English, about 200 to 400 words, depending on how you tally, for an adult English speaker make up about 80% of what we say. And so if you look at, compare how many words there are, many, 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 many more fringe words than core. But fringe words can only be used for specific purposes in specific contexts. So I can use my gum only in certain contexts. I can use the word gum or the word tea or the word sunglasses. I cannot use those to mean all sorts of things. They mean one thing usually. Whereas core words, I can use to say a lot of things. With that word, that, I can talk about that, my gum, that, my tea, that, a handkerchief, and pretty much anything I can point to if I know the power of the word that. So if we think about the usage, how often the words are used, core is about 80%. Fringe is only about 20%. And so while fringe helps you talk about specific things, and that is important, if I want my red truck toy and you are bringing my yellow banana monkey toy, I need to have red truck toy so I can tell you the specific thing that's important to me. But core can help you talk about anything, anywhere, and that's why it's so powerful. And I want to say that at the end, there will be a QR code if you came late, and you will be able to, a link, and you will be able to get this entire presentation so you don't have to screenshot. And in fact, if one of the hosts could throw that little link in, that would be great. Otherwise, I'll do it at the end. So let's just see core in action to get a real good sense. Here is a conversation. What do you want to do tonight? I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you want to go out? Okay. Where do you want to go? Hey, let's go to that restaurant that just opened up down on the corner. I hear it's good. Yeah, I like that idea. Hey, after dinner, do you want to go see that new Star Wars movie? I like it. Let's go. So that's a very typical conversation. So can you name the fringe words? So here is the entire conversation again. And now I am going to cross out the fringe words. All the rest of the words in that conversation are core words. And so 85% of those words are core, 15% are fringe. That is the power of core words. So let's try. This communication board has mostly fringe words. Action figure, ball, dollhouse, doll, cars, blocks, right? All those specific fringe words. What can you say with it? Just look for a minute. What can I say with these words? I can say more cars. I can say not doll or not more puzzle. I can say my turn blocks, your turn blocks. I can say all done, Mr. Potato Head. That's about all I can say. This communication board has all these core words and the fringe words. Now, what can I say? Oh, I can say, you have this car. I want that car. You put block on. More blocks on. No, take it off. right? I can say that. I can also just say, oh, I like ball, right? Or I like you put it on. There's so much more that I can say when I have core words. So core words plus fringe words allow much more communication. So it's important. You don't want to limit them by just giving them core boards or choice boards. Those are important, right? To make choices, but they do not help communication. They don't let you talk about them. They just let you get them. You can get them, but you cannot talk about them. You cannot talk about them. Okay, so we've got fewer words here, and we've got more words up here. Which is better? It is not a question of which is better. There are pluses and minuses to both of them. So if I have more words, bottom line, I have more buttons. If I have fewer words, I have fewer buttons. Duh. But what does that mean? Well, more buttons takes more eye work. I have to look and see. It's a much more complex visual array that I have to figure out what it is. And fewer words takes less eye work. And so if eyes are an issue for me and vision is an issue or visual processing, that's a factor. More words also takes more movement work, more buttons, because I have to be more precise and hit, just put, not any of the buttons around it, right? I have to be more precise in my movements. Remember that girl with Snug where she was trying to hit milk, but she kept missing? It took her a while, right? It's more movement work. And of course, fewer buttons is less movement work. But more buttons takes less memory work because I have more buttons right here, more words right here. So I can put all the words together, see where they are. It's much easier. Fewer buttons is going to take more memory work because I'm going to have to move through more screens to find the words that I want. So I have to remember the paths to those words. It's more memory work as opposed to recognition memory rather than recall memory. And that more memory work, this also makes it harder to make phrases and sentences, right? Here, I could say just ball, or I could say get ball, or I could say you get ball, or I could say you not get ball, or I can say you get, get, oh, so I could say, I want ball, you get it, right? I can really start to build my language. So it's harder if I have to be navigating back to one page, to another page, back to another page. In addition to my sentence, or my phrase, I have to hold all those paths to all the different words. So it's
Question.
Yes, please.
So, in that is when you have like a beginner talker who's very delayed and has problems with the movement work, and also with the memory, would it be when we've tried to use it, we try to just use one word, like very basic, the words that we're trying to teach him. Let's say potty, like when we've been potty training, like just the potty button or more or all done, very basic, because we feel like that's what is recommended when we're very
Yep. We're going to get to that. Right.
Okay.
Because that's a challenge. And so it's important to know that we need words to learn more words. Before I have a higher level word, I can probably describe that using lower level words, right? So I need words to learn more words. Now your question is, what if someone needs to start with fewer words? That's exactly what you're talking about. So there are two possibilities. One is to start with fewer buttons, right? So on my talker, maybe instead of starting with this many words, I'm going to start with only that many words. So that is definitely one option. Start with fewer buttons. But the challenge of starting with fewer buttons is as you get more buttons, where they are on the page, where they are on the screen changes, right? It gets different. So if we start with just those ones, and I'm just looking at my turn and your turn, and right now we have a 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3 by 8. So only 24 words. And here my turn and your turn on the top near the right. Okay, well now we've gone to 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 by 9. We've gone from 24 to 45. And look where my turn and your turn is. They're not on the top anymore. They're on the second row. And they're not as far on the right. They're a little more toward the middle. And now we're going to go to 5 by 10. And again, they have moved location. They're lower down. Now they're closer to the middle. And every time this happens, I have to build a new motor plan because my old motor plan is going to take me to the wrong place, right? This motor plan is going to hit where or not on here. This motor plan is going to hit like on or in on this one. So I have to change my motor plan. I need to make a different motor plan when I get more buttons. When I can do that whole thing. When I get more buttons, I think I have had. Do I have? No. I have to make a different motor plan. So what I recommend instead, and certain apps do this better than others, but all apps have this capability to hide the buttons. Remember that Snug gal and how her display only had a very few buttons? They were small, but only a few. It is because most of them were hidden. And when you hide buttons, the locations stay the same. So I can start with just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 buttons. And then I can add some more buttons, right? So you can look and see more buttons. And then I can add more buttons. And so my motor plans stay the same, right? I can use the same motor plans. I just have, so I can practice when I'm not very accurate. And then as I get more accurate, I can have more words. So I absolutely endorse starting with more words and hiding them to train and build and then keep those motor plans. I hope that answered your question. So these are some features for you to look at in an AAC app.
I have a question.
Go for it. Yeah.
Do you do assistive technology?
Yes, I do.
So if you have an IEP for an assistive technology IEE and the school given money for that,
Yep.
where would you find someone to do an assistive technology assessment?
That is definitely something that the Center for Accessible Technology, my organization, can do. It would be me doing it. There are other organizations that can also do it. And so it kind of depends what you can do. At the end, there is my email, and you can email me and I will send you a link to my calendar and you can sign up and we can talk about it.
Just one more question. So is it like any ages? Because I mean, this seems like pretty young, like maybe like toddlers, I don't know, or maybe some other age, but I have a 12-year-old and she's got dyslexia, like very high dyslexia. So I don't know. I
Oh,
just,
I don't think she needs AAC because it doesn't sound like verbal speech is a challenge for her.
no, I don't think so.
There are other tasks that she has difficulty accessing.
Yeah, she has pragmatic language skill problems, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
But basically, she can communicate pretty effectively. I'm just wondering, where the sweet spot is.
That's a good question. That is a really good question. I can't answer that off the top of my head. I don't know your child at all, but I'm happy to have a conversation.
Okay, so wait, just one more second. Is AAC, is this like a specific tool, like computer?
So AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, and it's kind of a Venn diagram of access tools, like a talker, and language development and literacy development. So AAC is kind of an overlapping of both of those. Access to language and development of language.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. All right, so I absolutely recommend starting with more words and hiding them. And now let's talk about these robust AAC features. You want words that are organized in a structure, some structure that you understand, because that will support your motor plans if it's clear how it's structured in the grid, and also clear how the different pages are structured, right? The different screens. So that will support your motor plan, and it will also help you learn language, because you will learn that, maybe you have a category that's all containers. So you learn what containers are and the category containers. It's important to have core words and fringe words. We've talked a lot about core. We will talk some more about fringe words. And so it's important to be able to mix words together. You saw me mixing those words together with the toys, right? It's important that I'm able to combine words in any order, not just in a specific order. For example, water. Water is usually something I drink. And so I want to be able to say, drink water, right? But what if there's water that's spilled on the floor and I want to tell someone to look out, water? If I have to go through drink, if the only way for me to get to water is to first say drink, I can't tell you to look out for the water. Or I can't look at the water coming down and tell you that I like the rainwater, right? So it's important to have more than one path to a word, not just a single path with a gateway word like drink before water. And you had a question, is it typical that the school will offer AAC before doing an assessment? In my experience, that depends on the school, that depends on the class, that depends on the district culture. There are classes that have core boards and talkers in the classroom for anyone to use from the get-go. And people have access to that language and they start to learn AAC language. There are other schools that won't even consider doing class-wide solutions and will only do individual solutions only after an assessment. So it really depends. And your question, when do you move to the higher word power? That's a very complex question in a way, my logic is I would start with more and hide them. So if my child is stopping using it or getting frustrated because they can't say everything they want, maybe if they're putting together 4, 5, 6 words and showing that they're ready for more language, but I always think you should have more language to begin with. So it's a complex question. Reading comprehension is a very different thing, and learning how to read when you cannot sound out words is an interesting puzzle. And there are ways to do it, but you cannot do it in typical ways, because I can't sound out a word. If I need alternate communication, right? Because speech is not an option, I'm not sounding out any words. And I can still learn to read and spell, but I need to learn it in a different way. And this is not, I am not a teacher, and so I'm not going to go into that, but I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it.
Question related to like school. Our son's AAC device is provided by the school district, so it goes to him with him to school, to his class. Who would you say controls the editing of the AAC, like the format? Because what I've found is sometimes when I've played around with it, I've moved things and everything, and then some buttons disappear. They're hidden because, you know, maybe the speech therapist or the teacher didn't find them useful, but I found them useful at home, but they might not be useful at school because, I mean, different words are being, you know, the fringe words could be different. So how would you advise that?
So what I would advise is to have a regular communication between the teacher, the SLP, and the parent, so that there is a common understanding. And I'm going to get to adding words. So I have some guidelines around that. Before you move a word, before you add a word, I have some guidelines. Let me get through these guidelines. And I also see, yes, so the issue about word power 60 versus word power 80, right? So you were wanting word power 80 because it had the keyboard, as opposed to word power 60 without the keyboard. That was probably the question. Word power 60 has bigger buttons and you have a keyboard button. So I would start by asking the reason to keep it at 60 versus going to 80, but I wouldn't keep going back and forth because there are different motor plans. I would choose one as a team. What is the typical evaluation for AAC? There are no typical evaluations for AAC. There is no typical AAC user, right? So the reason why the speech therapist may not talk to you about AAC is because the speech therapist might not know about AAC. So, and GLP is an interesting case. Email me and I can send you information about GLP and AAC. It's a particular case. And currently, there is no published research about specifically GLP, Gestalt language processing, and AAC. But there is information around it, and I'm happy to share that with you. Okay, let's get through this. So, another important feature is that I can change the words, right? That means that I can say I, but I can also say me and my and mine. And I can say go, but I can also say going and went and goes, right? And so a core board is great, but a core board is not enough. So I can find the words. All apps now have a find word feature where you can look for a word and find the path to the word. And all apps now allow you to add new words. We're going to get to the add words discussion in a minute. But if you can find words and you can add new words, then the tool can grow. All right. So these are the features to look for in AAC tools. All right. Lots of great discussions. Thank you all. I know we're running over, but let's get through this. Okay. So remember, we had talked about fringe and core. Core are powerful. Fringe are important. So it is important to make sure that your child's AAC includes their fringe words. So that means what? What are the people, the places, the things, the activities that are important to your child? What are the events and the holidays that are important to you and to your community that your child is a part of? What words are important for personal and disability needs? Do they have a suction machine? They should have a word, suction machine, that they can go to. Right? So the general guidelines for adding words are you want to add words that are memorable, reusable, and easily navigable. So let's break that down. So I want to put in words that are memorable. That means it's a word that I know. I don't want a word that I don't know. Reusable, that means that I will do that word more, right? So I will use it a lot. If we are doing a unit on the missions, or we are having a field trip to the mall one time and it's not something I go to all the time, maybe don't put it in. Maybe have an extra little thing that has something about that. So if I'm not going to talk about it again, why should I remember the path to that word? Navigable means I can get to it, right? Okay, get, I know is on here. Get, I can get it, right? I can go look for it, so I can find it. Also, really important, it's always good to ask, right? Is it already here in my talker? If it is, don't add it. Teach the path to it, or have a conversation about maybe where we should move it for a different path, but don't just add it. All right, that's important. Add fringe words: memorable, reusable, navigable, not already there. The question, Jacqueline, suggested he doesn't need AAC. I have a different opinion than that. And so you can email me and we can talk about that. Okay, so I just want you to take a minute and I want you to think about, you don't have to share in the chat. You can if you want. What words are important for your student or for your child? Where could you put them? If handkerchief is important to me, do I put handkerchief under clothing? Do I put handkerchief under sensory tools? Do I put handkerchief under my access tools? I don't know. Where should I put it? Under body, next to nose? You know, should I put it in the health next to like snot? It's a big question. There's no right answer, but it's important to have a conversation around it, right? Okay, there are lots of forms that can help you brainstorm words. This bit.ly/custom-vocab-forms will take you to a Google folder that has a bunch of different forms that help you brainstorm words. I'll keep that up for a minute. And one of the hosts, if you could type that into the chat, that would be super helpful.
Yes, that'll be great because we're not able to click on it.
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking them to put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Sure. Here, I'm not seeing them do, I'll go ahead and do it. There you go. Okay, I think I got it right. All right. There are other ways that you can personalize an AAC device. So I just want to let you know about these different ways. You can change the colors and the fonts depending on the app. So you notice these are both want, but one is solid, one is just has a border, one is green, one has a pink border, right? So you can change some of those depending on the app. Some you can, some you can't. You can change the icon. These are both more, right? You can also change skin color in several apps. So you can have varieties of skin color now. You can also change the voice. My favorite is Little Creature that sounds like either Yoda or Cookie Monster, depending. But I love him. My second favorite one is Bad Guy. So we are just about finished. I want to know, and you can put this in the chat really quick. I would like to know what you have gotten, what you will take from this class. And what might you want to try with your child? And what do you want to know more about? And finally, how might I make these classes better for you? So there's a feedback form, and I'll put that in the chat as well. I'm just seeing. Oh, our Spanish interpreter needs to leave by 7:45. Oh man. Okay, got it. Thank you. Do I recommend using only one device in all settings? That's it. Ideally, yes. But do we just use one device? Do you just use your phone or your computer? No, you use both in different situations. So I think that you can use them. And I'm going to put this really quick. Okay, there we go. Let me get out of here. My takeaways. So you can go, Luis. There are lots of ways to communicate, right? Unaided AAC, aided AAC, verbal speech, lots of ways to communicate. AAC has core words. It has fringe words. It can have more buttons. It can have fewer buttons. It's important to add important words and to customize it. It's also important to use your AAC to build snug, spontaneous, novel, utterance, generation. Anything else? The presentation is there. And it's also been put in the chat. And so my final words, I'm going to say, go for it. And that's my email address. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And we will see you again next time. Hasta la próxima vez. Oh, it looks like the file has been deleted for feedback. Oh, thank you. Then I will get that back up there.
What was your email address again?
Sure. Let me back up to that. It's right here, and I'll put it in the chat. It is jen@c4at.org.
Thank you.
And let me just get the that. And here's another link to the https://bit.ly/no AAC1 for today's first lesson. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you so much. Before you leave, please fill out the workshop evaluations to help to keep our workshop free for all. So there's a link in the chat. Please spend a few minutes to fill out. And at the same time, I would like to remind you that this is a 4-part series. So I have put in the chat that the next 3 classes will be on October 9, November 13, and December 11. There's a link if you haven't registered for it. Okay. Yes, about the video, I would get access to it after a couple of days, and I would email to you afterwards. And tomorrow, I would email the link of today's presentation to you too.
All right. Thank you, Support for Families, for all that you do. I'm going to go.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical issue earlier today.
No problem.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care.